I'd like to call to order the FAMPO Policy Committee meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025. Please rise for the pledge of meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Move on to item 3, roll call and determination of quorum. Dr. Rideout.
Will Mack,
Present.
Alski, Jonathan Burlock,
Here.
Jen Holmes,
Yeah, be quick.
Drew Mullins,
Here.
Lori Hayes,
Here.
Meg Bump,
Here.
Dr. Camille Langell,
A present.
Greg Penny,
Here.
Dante Jakes,
Present.
Joe Stansbury.
Yeah.
I have a quorum.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to item 4, which is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Shannon made the motion and
Whatever.
Lori seconded it? Yeah, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? All right, that passes. All right, item 5, public hearing. We have one public hearing tonight. It's for the public comment period for the draft Rappahannock River Crossing Parkway Alternatives Study. Are there any members of the public like this meeting? Is it the in-person? The time limit is
3 minutes.
3 minutes. We'll put a timer on there. So let's go ahead and I guess go in order.
Thanks, sir. My name is Dave Prepare with my wife Colette, co-founders of Responsible Neighborhood Watch, and friends of Rappahannock for the last 3 decades, including Colette's service at our local arts commission and for our newsletter committee. We speak in strong opposition, heartfelt, all the options for crossing the river west of 95 that would put a spear in the heart of the conservation easement of this most precious watershed in our Commonwealth, Virginia. Having submitted FAMPO comments on the west of 95 crossing, we offer the following recommendations to boost the no-build option. 1, an independent advisory committee. No-build should include city, counties, Silver, Central Park, and Chamber of Commerce with environmental stewards like FOR, PEC, Southern Environmental Law Center, expect to hear from, and citizens from impacted neighborhoods. It should be look at environmental friendly, congestion reducing strategies such as public transit with job creating bus and shuttles, expanded bike lanes and pedestrian paths, smart traffic management, green and telecommuting infrastructure. 2, federal workforce reduction of corridor traffic should be assessed while advancing regional job creation here, such as the UMW Mary Washington Hospital Healthcare Medical School coming up, Central Park Data Center, startup IT and tourism and hospitality to improve quality of life, close-in work opportunities, mitigating congestion. 3, Riverwalk from Bixner's Meadow to Lomots, along the Rappahannock, proposed option C crossing site with this amazing all rock river bluffs where bald eagles and hares soar. It's highly recommended to see firsthand to each of us future possibilities of conserving this precious Rappahannock area for posterity. 4, Banahoy, Indian, and Banks River crossing right there should be evaluated in no-build with alternatives for heritage tourism, including indigenous encampment from the eve of John Smith's 1608 encounter, noted in the city's historic resources and FOR water maps. 5, this coalition could also be engaged to explore Larry Silver's original idea for an eco-friendly gondola connecting Central Park and celebrate Virginia. While no panacea, it could connect riversides with tourists and shoppers via shuttles to further reduce congestion, noise, and neighborhood and river disturbance, creating jobs with lower carbon footprint at a fraction of the cost. Conclusion: no-build option could become a rallying point for advancing innovative long-term solutions to mass transit that are far more economical, climate-friendly, attractive to residents and tourists alike, in keeping with the historic character and scenic Rappahannock River values shared by residents across the GW region. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let you go.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Al Watkins. I live in the George Washington District of Stafford County. We're currently serving as the vice chair of CTEC. I'd like to provide to you a slideshow that was presented, discussed at our recent CTAC meeting last week. It pertains to the river crossing and specifically why CTAC had come up with an option commonly known as option C with modifications. I want to preface this presentation by unequivocally saying that CTAC strongly advocates for a much needed river crossing. But as our CTAC modification display, we feel that a single crossing does not adequately address the congestion needs of the region. Should. And here's one of the reasons why, if you go to the next slide. Okay, and actually, if in front of you, you should have the table that appears on the right side of the table. I was referenced that instead. Okay. I printed out this level of service modeling that's contained in the presentation to make it easier for you to view. The intersections have been divided into 4 main groups in the left column, according to the locations. On the far right, compares percentages for either decreases or increases in time. Positive values are represented by increases in delay time, which is not the desired benefit. If we can go to the next slide, please. Actually, 2 more slides, actually. Okay, on this particular screen, summarizing the results, the intersections along Route 17 and 1 have solid reductions in delay with the river crossing. However, for those 9 southern and western intersections located in Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, there are very similar percentages, and in some cases, longer delays. At these 9 intersections, delays are essentially the same, whether or not a bridge is built. Okay, if we go to the last slide, please. This is why we have come to this point in time. In June of 2022, 2 jurisdictions sent letters to FAMPO requesting research to examine options for a needed river crossing. Again, please don't mistake that I either seek that for myself or any that post the OS modeling identifies no large benefit in our southern region. Why build a bridge? Because that's not the case. A new crossing is an absolute necessity, as is a grid that provides greater travel options. The LOS data validates why this needs to be done. We believe that CPAC has identified the what that needs to be explored to benefit the entire region. As time moves forward, costs will only become greater and available land will become more scarce. It took just 2 jurisdictions in 2022 to start the ball rolling by asking FAMPO to do research. We hope that all 3 jurisdictions already recognize the benefit of asking to study an additional route before it becomes vicious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Other members of the public who'd like to speak? Yeah.
Have some hands up, is that okay?
Sure.
And would I have 3 minutes?
Yeah, pass them around and we can
I'll
start your 3 minutes when you.
My name is Bill Mix. I live in Fredericksburg, for 70+ years. Don't do this very well. I'm a little bit nervous. Taught in staff for 33 years. What teachers do with their summer, they open up and start teaching American regular new classes. Moved out of my backyard by McDonald's. The Franklin family was Mrs. Butler Franklin. That family was very supportive. I had one of the daughters back in the day. She says, you should relocate out of your backyard and build down the up. So long story short, that's what we did. I am just speaking, on a personal level. I could talk about the canoe business and how this impacted us. First time to build bridge, this last bridge, it cut us down for no compensation. If you know me well, I don't ever complain about things like that when it flows the river. So getting back to this, I've tried to include, I don't know how many of you have had a chance to ever float the stretch. If you would ever like to do that coming year, I can provide canoes and kayaks or whatever you want, maybe a tube, where you can actually get on the water and see what the stretch of river looks like. If you'd like to do it as a group, I'd love to do that. The trails are incredible. All the historical sites you're going to see in this information that I've given you from Dr. Trout and with the Friends of the Rappahannock. I'm not speaking for them though. speaking again on a personal level, told not to do that. And, anyway, so the information in this is simply just trying to give you, if you've not seen it or if you have not been given the information about all the historical sites. Maybe you've been down there with your camera and you photographed some of the small creeks that come in, some of the beautiful waterfalls that are stretched through here. And last, this came out in the Freeland Star some time ago. I don't know if you were around back then. I just changed it from no outer connector just to another bridge. And used it, and then the very last page just simply says, we keep making decisions that continue to change the character.
Thank you, Mr. Mix. Other members of the public who want to speak?
I guess I'm up. Please, I'm just a local resident, reading Freelance Star, thinking, hey, what's going on?
You share your name, sir.
My name is Rick Booth. I live in Spotsylvania off Fort Worth. First of all, let me tell you all, I appreciate what you're doing. As a Marine, former Marine, a lot of people will tell that to me, and I can see what you all are doing here is very important, and I appreciate you spending the time to do it. I'm probably reiterating what you've already said 100 times, so I apologize to you for that. Light years ahead of me in knowledge about what the proposals are and why you can do something, why you can't do something. My reading of Freelance Star makes me just think, what are we doing? From my perspective, listen, we are one of the largest metropolitan areas in Virginia without a true bypass. That's my perspective as a long time in Virginia. I won't go into the numbers, but roughly 200,000+ versus 30,000 here in Fredericksburg. So it's a lot of people. Fredericksburg is attractive. The leading proposal, as I read it in the Freelance Star, means basically heavy traffic into a dizzying array of the heaviest traffic in our area. Not to mention Route 3 with big rigs, shoppers, through traffic, I-95 traffic. And that's a lot of looking at. And never mind I-95 on a bad day when they've had a wreck. I mean, the whole area just shuts down. And I'm tired of my friends telling me how bad Fredericksburg is because of the traffic. And then you can only imagine some of the words that I hear. It's just something that, we have to deal with. And I appreciate you all dealing with it, because you got some tough decisions to make. I will tell you this. I don't know if he was the district engineer, but there's a former VDOT Virginia gentleman over here. Years ago, I spoke with him about the issues, and he told me, he said that years ago, he told me that we need a west bypass, but he did not want to force it on the people. And we talked a little bit more, and then he went on to say his other big concern was the crossing the Rappahannock River. He knew that would cause a lot of troubles. And he just mentioned at the time that was his solution, and he wanted to do it, but he was not going to force it on him. And I feel like that, to me, at least lends some weight to some of the other issues that have been brought up. Last couple of things, you made a very large and thorough and a very expensive study, I'm sure. And so it's some tough decisions. But essentially, the job is to get the job done. And from my perspective, we've pushed a lot of people out west. You got a lot of people in this area. And it seemed like to me a nice bypass that would include, from my perspective, all the way up to I-95 from Route 3. And to be realistic, sometime in the next number of years, you probably have to go all the way around Route 3 south. That would take out all of the traffic from I-95, basically all the through traffic. You want to get it off the local areas, Route 3 and Route 17. So if you get the through traffic off, all the people going Route 3 west, all the people going 17 west, and all the people trying to go to 95 to get to work, you'd end up making it better for the local people. And I guess my last comment is, let me see here.
Your time, sir. Sorry.
5 seconds.
Okay, 5 seconds.
If the goal is to improve local traffic, we need to get through traffic off, from my perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. I appreciate it. Any other members of the public who wish to speak on this? Sure. Share your name, sir.
Good evening. My name is Marcus Garcia. I'm a resident of Spotsylvania County. I'd like to basically concur with the gentleman before me. It is high time we get another river crossing in this town. We've been talking about it 30, 40 years. I've only been in the area about 7. We can continue to kick the can down the road. Route 3 is blocked up with traffic. The road is congested. The can't move it over. Recognize the cost. Gentleman mentioned. The 3-9 star. June 10th, you guys presented an excellent video to the public. Board of Supervisors meeting. The options of the public to see what the impacts were from a environmental perspective. Traffic alignment, the routings that exist currently. But it's high time. 30 years is long enough to be talking about it. I appreciate the staff and the neighbors who've done and chosen. It's time for us to say in Spotsylvania County that I think that gentleman concurs with my neighbor here in Spotsylvania. So, you know, again, I would advise, and I have advised my neighbors to watch the video, get on YouTube, go back to the archive footage from the June 10th Board of Supervisors. Fabulous presentation. I think the two gentlemen that came to speak, and I met them once at a different meeting in this room. So I'd like to, you know, lend my support for option C. It is at current best option we have. In that June 10th meeting, you know, we had options 30 years ago. Those have been slowly choked off because of development, because of a lack of strategic foresight then. And I guess we can continue to make the same argument, continue to use the same lack of strategic foresight as decision-making paradigm. It's not a good one. It's not one where engineers, project managers would call sound strategic decision. We know the cost will only get higher. It's time, folks. It's time to quit kicking the can down, hoping our choices will get better. So I'll pause there. Thank you for the time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Anyone else? We turn to the letters. So each letter will have 3 minutes. So Dr. Rideout will stop reading any given letter when he hits 3 minutes. And we have 30 minutes total per letter. So once we have spent 30 minutes reading letters, then we're done reading letters.
Ian will police my time.
Yep.
Yeah. This is from Bob Raymond. I have read the first 60 pages of the Parkway Alternative Studies. I have these comments. I feel like the authors impeached themselves with the statement that truck traffic would comprise no more than 2% of the volume on the crossing. I guess they haven't seen the lines of trucks on 17 South waiting to get on I-95 on some afternoons. Trucks are likely to make up a large percent of the traffic on this connector. Roads the connector connects to on the city side can't handle all these trucks, those trucks. 2, I also don't see how Ball Hill Avenue can handle the traffic coming across the river there. Ball Hill and the roads at Central Park are already traffic light bound. Getting from Ball Hill onto Route 3 West in the afternoon requires a bit of patience now. 3, traffic along Route 1 corridor is often gridlocked. An accident on 95 causes through traffic to escape to local roads. Adding the parkway dumping onto Ball Hill Avenue will enlarge the gridlock area when I-95 has an incident. Just for better traffic outcomes, I think the money could be better spent finishing the CD lanes and adding interchanges at Harrison Road and Route 208. I support the no build option. I believe the crossing will make traffic worse. Square Mall area around Route 3 I-95 interchange, not better. Thank you. Number 2, received by Stephen Haynes. When the silver companies were developing Celebrate Virginia North, the county wisely avoided what quickly become a traffic nightmare by requiring the developer to build a grade separation for motorists wishing to make a left turn onto Celebrate Virginia Parkway. In addition to resulting flyover, the county assured that no other connections would exist or ever be provided between Route 1 and this development, which would guarantee that the 5 high-volume civilized intersections on Route 17 within the first mile and a half of I-95, interchange 133 would not have to bear the additional burden of lengthy delays due to left turns onto Celebrate Virginia. The agreement included a prohibition on any connection between Celebrate Virginia Parkway and Stanford Drive or Commerce Parkway, thus preventing a situation would negatively affect every aspect of travel along Route 17 corridor and represented clear forethought by everyone from politicians and an honest commitment from both the developers and the locality from far too wearing. This action successfully placed a slight burden on the developers and those benefiting from the development and extra half-mile of driving to the favor of all other motorists. Time passed. Perhaps different people came along who don't appreciate what was achieved and in excellence. The intersection of Route 17 and Plantation Drive Commerce Parkway is to continue working well with its enabling signals. Proposed connection between Commerce Parkway and Celebrate Virginia Parkway cannot be made. Not just because the intersection will experience enormous delays, but because a promise is a promise. Now, if a flyover were to be provided from northbound 17 onto Commerce Parkway, in addition to Commerce Parkway being widened to 4 lanes, we would be efficiently mitigating the traffic and would be keeping the faith. From John Habit. Message: I have been confused on this whole process. What is the goal of this project? The beat that I can understand is to limit the number of vehicles traversing US 17 I-95 to Virginia Route 3. If this is correct, why dump this traffic into a mix of commercial and residential neighborhoods? In addition, this traffic is merging perpendicular to the current traffic flow on Route 3. These options may eliminate traffic on US 17, which the new local lanes for increased traverse, but fail to lack of understanding the through lanes, local lanes merging. If the chief engineer and design engineers who actually observe the current bottlenecks, price looking, the data is listening to Stafford's preferences, it would be very apparent any crossing that some US 17 traffic east of Harrison Crossing is detrimental to Route 3 flow. And I assume that it appears this is a disaster in the making. It's just as bad as the delays on removal of the bump ruts on Route 3. This is from Peter Walton. Good evening. I do not see a need for an additional river crossing of the Rappahannock River at any of the sites mentioned in the report. The proposed crossing sites place additional traffic onto Central Park shopping areas, which add to the congestion in the area already experiencing a continuous basis. I think there is sufficient access from Stafford into Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania County and vice versa with recently completed improvements to I-95. I would recommend FAMPO look at crossing points further to the west to connect Route 17, as well as it needs to connect Route 1 around Fredericksburg at the Falmouth Bridge to link onto US 2 Route 17 south of Fredericksburg. Jeanette Jackson. We are in favor of a crossing from Celebrate Virginia Parkway.
We like them short.
Okay, which
That
is,
is- That what was linked to know we see additional. So, this is from Mary Gross. As a years, I have an enduring interest in the fundamental need of effective transportation infrastructure for our region. As an at-large Spotsylvania member, I have voted for almost all roads proposed and have voted with Spotsylvania 100% with their positions. I supported the I-95 CD lanes that we have today. I did not support the outer connector because it was primarily a road to serve work commuting to Northern Virginia and would have spurred massive new growth where it would connect to Route 3. I also support unanimous FAMPO votes for proposed regional transportation project of FAMPO. I do not support the current Parkway crossing. I oppose the river crossing, but because it's the wrong place, it's wrong. Things to be to provide an alternative to average citizens wanting to get to Central Park and its cultivated foul without using the CD line. What I do support is consideration and further study of a river crossing further west near Knott's Run to then connect to the South Creek, and I believe it should be told. Further west avoids the adverse impacts to the retirement communities in South Stafford, and it also may have some promise in supporting economic development in both western Spotsylvania and Stafford, as well as mitigating congestion on Route 3 between I-95 and Salem Church Road by diverting trips across the river. Salem Church Road is a major connector to the interior of Spotsylvania that connects to Levels and thus to Route 1 I-95 via South Point and or Spotsylvania Parkway. Dynamic tolling will help fund roads, effectively lowering its cost, discourage big trucks cut through traffic, mitigate congestion created by new roads by discouraging induced trips. I appreciate the opportunity to provide comments and on the record. Respectfully, Larry, Spotsylvania at large, Memphis. This is from Jeff Hughes. We comment in opposition to the nearly 300 million Rappahannock River crossing, including option C, the most environmentally adverse option selected for unwarranted massive construction west of I-95. As a longtime members of the Sierra Club, we appeal on behalf of the river and future generations to preserve this most pristine section of the Rappahannock through a no-build option. Below, I have outlined the same concerns as my good friends and neighbor David and co-leader Kaparahara. Reading all that they have said below, I would like to add my own personal personal plea. The water and land we're asking to be preserved for ourselves and future generations cannot be replaced much longer. Careful and thorough stewardship of finite and life-preserving natural resources is imperative to our survival. This is not hyperbole or fear-mongering, this is fact. One only has to look at the various states in the U.S. and around the world to see that poor stewardship already has land shrinking and dying out. Do not allow Virginia to become another casualty of poor land management. No serious analysis has gone into assessing a no-build option required by the state and federal environmental law, inviting costly litigation. Increased citizen tax burden from the proposed proposed massive expenditure, adding congestion on overcrowded river roads and neighborhoods must be weighed along with the adverse environmental impact of all the new river crossing options upon the scenic Rappahannock. State and federal law further require impact assessments that have not been done on historic resources, including that by the Manahawk Indian Heritage Area, the Nakahakgod Camp, 1608, and the Banks Ford Civil War crossing, likely to be adversely impacted along with tourism and irreplaceable scenic and environmental treasures. Not long ago, Bridgeport and surrounding jurisdictions wisely gave precedence to this designated conservation easement to protect the precious scenic river designation along with neighborhood and habitat. After sound I-95 state federal investment, more than $670 million, greatly enhanced this regional transit corridor and upgraded exchanges expenditure on it. Billions more. The uncertain returns and resultant adverse permanent impacts of the scenic historic resources must be questioned. Larry Silver years ago put forward a vision for regional tourism connecting Celebrate Virginia, environmental friendly guidelines that could ferry shoppers and tourists across the Rappahannock for a fraction of the cost and environmentally hazards of a new bridge crossing. FAMPO, Chamber of Commerce, tourism bodies, and the environmental community should take another look at such.
Dr. Rideout, that's the
The last one. The comments tonight from Silver. Please consider the increased use of River Road on the Fredericksburg side of the proposed bridge. This is an unlightened, treacherous back road, one lane in each direction, no shoulders, and with steep hills, sharp turns, and blind driveways. Many people use it as an alternative to Plank Road to free commuting traffic as it terminates on the eastern side onto Bragg Road. And of course, there is speeding by those who think it is for sports cars. I don't think commercial traffic is prohibited, but I can't imagine a tractor trailer on this road. Thank you, Chris Willow. That concludes the written public comment. Public hearing.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rideout. That concludes the public hearing for the draft Rappahannock River Crossing Parkway Alternative Study. Item 6, similarly, is public involvement. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the committee on any matter? This one is not restricted to the question of the river crossing study. Seeing none, do we have any submitted letters for
That we do.
public comment forum? Thank you, Dr.
Amanda's Della. Transportation approaches can tend to feel unreliable using, but it is still somewhat efficient, especially as a student who needs it for working in school. From Nancy Carpenter of Spotsylvania, more down to Big Resort, Warrenburg. Rebecca Frazier commented suggestion on Plank Road. Mills Drive, Mine Road is really bad. Brianna Helton said Hill Road flows all the time and vehicles get stuck because of the low bridge height. Completely their fault for not reading all of the warning signs. Stafford. So, I've taken the train VRE Amtrak for 15 years. For the last 2 months, I've been consistently taking the omnibus from the communal lot to the and it is an efficient option to get to the city quickly. I have only 2 comments that might improve the overall experience for commuters. If Omni and VRE left from the same place, it would give commuters more options, i.e. take Omni into the city and VRE back. Additionally, an Omni from the communal lot on Route 3 could also serve people coming from the west.
There you go, Joe.
Yeah.
All around.
Stacked in the deck.
Yeah.
From Martin Miller, good afternoon. These are the comments my wife and T submitted to VDOT last month. VDOT's proposal makes more choices that adversely affect those of us living on the 200 to 300 block of Caroline when more reasonable alternatives have been discarded. With due difference to biker safety, the objective can be achieved without of another Great Wall of China on Charlotte Street by requiring that residents' cars be parked 9 feet away from the curb. Thank you, Mike Martin. And sorry for the date. The notice. And by FedEx, they sent this message to the Virginia Department of Transportation. So, dear Mr. Howley, I attended your public hearing on September 30th, 2025 in the following comments. Although we are beyond bike riding age, my wife and I favor reasonable sharing of public roads with bike traffic, but the term reasonable defines our objections to most methodology being proposed for the west side of the 200 block of Caroline Street. These objections fall into two categories, objections to the inherent limitations of our and our neighbors' use of the street, and objections to the aesthetics of the proposal. Our usage are septuagenarian and one is an octogenarian. I'm not allowed to divulge which is whom. But my wife is contractual with, and I need the use of either a cane or walker depending on the day and the task. We have a handicap ramp that enables us to transit from the rear door in our house to our gate on Caroline Street.
John, can you just scroll up?
Wall Street. We currently park our car at the end of the 4-foot of the brick 4-foot walkway that terminates at the street. Our car is parked a few inches from the curb to make possible the transfer of my wife to and from the rear seat of the car without having to navigate her wheelchair up and down the 5+ inch curb. Also, the transfer can be accomplished without having her or me be exposed to passing traffic. I need to explain how a 9-foot gap in the curb and the car would alter our lives and our ability to get out, shopping, doctor's appointments, etc.
Is that them?
3 seconds.
Yeah. Can
Every
we'll have
Tuesday
to it.
evening, I and my neighbors have to put the trash and recycling out. I am able to leave it behind the curb in a place where the truck can see it. I have to move those giant containers furnished by the city over the curb and 9 feet to the street to where they can be seen by the passing trash trucks. And then back again. It's not a job easily accomplished by the elderly or the disabled. On a regular basis, usually several times a week, we have to go grocery shopping, being subjected to an additional 9 feet of carrying groceries, dodging traffic, which must be expected to be substantial judging by the sophistication of your proposal, and then going up, down the curb is a job not easily accomplished by the elderly or disabled. And with one hand on a cane and one bag and the other makes numerous trips through this new obstacle course each time we go out. On almost as frequent a basis as shopping, we elderly, unlike younger folk who will be riding on their bikes, have to visit our doctor's offices, pharmacies, and and the like more frequent than all those other age groups.
John, we're at time. Ladies and gentlemen, these ones that he's reading now are all attached to your agenda, so you're not missing out on anything you have access to. Well, I'll leave this couple. So far.
What is the ask for the last one? Can you just see what the ask is?
It's on your agenda.
I understand, but we're reading it.
Can we address it at the end of the
Okay,
public comment?
all right.
Commentary on Caroline Street bike lane. Reference for Fredericksburg downtown engineering study dated September 2025, see paragraph 3.4. In figure 15. This appears to be a very hazardous design and especially unfriendly to residents of the street. Although technically traffic can eke by when a parked car has a passenger driver's door opening. Traffic lane, the safety margin is reduced to a ridiculous level. Cars on both sides of the street are unloading, the situation is worse. Any kind of oversized vehicle would be unable to pass. All traffic would be forced to stop. Delivery vehicles are all traffic to stop. Bike lane concept to die now. Further, ETS does not grow on current bike traffic volume. As a resident of Lower Caroline, I am pretty sure current traffic is less than 5 bikes per day. Estimated cost estimate $3,125 at 50% contingency. We're talking over $1 million to convenience, perhaps just 5 select individuals. That's $200,000 per biker. This is moral outrage. I am handicapped and live on the east side of Caroline. You can imagine how much hazard and hassle this will add to my efforts to bring a load of groceries to the house. Yeah, was attached. Tom Hanna. Hello, my name is Tom Hanna, and I'm a resident in the Coventry Creek neighborhood of the Woods Hill School Road. I am writing to inquire about plans for sidewalk development along Lee Hill School Road. I remember seeing a map that indicated that developers along the road would be responsible for putting on sidewalks. This has been done on the town hall neighborhood that was put in next to the convenience baseball field. However, when looking around, I don't know where future development would occur. I would love to ride my bike, walk my dog, etc. outside of my neighborhood, but right now I'm trapped. I don't feel safe walking around that road. Additionally, I don't feel safe driving because a lot of folks walk down that road. I saw kids riding scooters down the middle of the road that force cars to slow down. The road is windy and possesses a risk to those kids, to the drivers. If you could clarify for me the plans for sidewalk development along this road, it would be great. So that concludes.
Thank you. I'd just like to add for the edification of our colleagues in the counties, the letters related to the bike lane on Caroline. This is in regards to a smart scale project that we are working up to executing in 2027 called Connector, which is going to be a new mixed use path that leads from Dixon Park and ultimately will connect to the mixed use path along Tidewater Trail that the county is working on. We'll pass sort of along the edge of the river underneath the Blueberry Bridge, the Mayfield Bridge, and hit at the very end of North Caroline Street where their cul-de-sac is, and then we'll turn into an on-street bike facility all the way down to the train station to connect up with the rest of our downtown bike network of working on. So that's not a matter that's been for FAMPO, I think, or at least not in a very long time. So just for your edification, that's what those letters were about. Yeah, it's a project I'm very excited about personally. So, all right. So we move on now to item 7, the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any with the agenda?
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? The consent agenda passes unanimously. All right, item 8, the FAMPO Administrator Report. Mr. Hollis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can, while I'm here, just also point to that we've updated the calendar for 2026. So please use this one. It's the final version. We've made some changes to CTAC dates. We've made a couple of changes to TAC dates and other things. And we've also included the rural TAC, which is not a FAMPO committee, it's a GWRC committee, but you have all of the dates in one place for you there. If I can go to my report, John, next page, please. Yes, today we have somewhat of a situation. We have to say goodbye to some folks who are retiring. Not folks who weren't re-elected, but folks who are retiring. And Supervisor Bomke has been on and off FAMPO for, I would say decades, but it's been a very long time. I don't know how long it has been. And then we have Councillor Gerlach, who's also retiring. And also to let you know that Ms. Jamie Jackson, who is a non-voting member of the policy committee, has also tendered her notice. She is taking up a job elsewhere and will be leaving us this month. So we have 3 people to say goodbye to. And if you see the little cake symbol, we have a lovely cake at the end of the meeting, and we invite everyone to have a piece of cake and to wish the retirees well. We thank them for years of service to FAMPO, really, truly. I was thinking of it today, how long you've been here, and Mr. Gerlach has been in the city for a long time. So thank you for your service, and we'll have some cake. And I believe Eugene wants to take a photo to mark the occasion. There we go.
3 minutes though.
So we're just presenting this to you for information. Housing Forward Virginia has completed a zoning atlas together with their national counterparts. In fact, it's a national zoning atlas. You'll remember that FAMPO worked on one for our region previously and eventually made a 3D map out of it, which is now on our website, and recently updated the data for that. So we looked at the harmonization of our local zoning, our local zoning laws and the approvals, and we have put them all together. This does exactly the same thing, but by a national and state body. It might just add to our knowledge, and there is the link if you want to look it up. The 3D one we have is on our website. Next slide. These, as you know, I just give you quick updates, snapshots of what's going on. CMAQ STGB, we have got the transit applications that have already come in. That's closed for that deadline. We now have the next deadline, which is the roadway, bike and ped projects. That deadline is the 15th of December, and our localities and partners need to submit their applications for CMAQ funding by that date. As you know, next year we're going to allocate 2 years worth of money because we only do this every 2 years now. And we've just made a guesstimate of how much we think it's going to be, something like 7.8 million. But we will only know the final amount for the next year when VDOT informs us in about March. It's usually the 2nd or 3rd week of March. They let us know the number. So that number will be, modified slightly when we get the final figures. And out of that, something around 6.8 million would go to the jurisdictions, including the Stafford TMA set aside. And there are other contingencies which are off the top as well. Next slide. Revised congestion maps. You can see them on the wall over here. But Lida is going to give you a whole explanation of how these maps work. Just to remind you what we did, we agreed with the state that we would reduce the population projections for Stafford County from 676,000 to 267. It's a reduction in the projected population growth, and we reduced the projected jobs growth in Stafford by 2,635 jobs. For Spotsylvania, it was a bigger reduction, but not for jobs, only for population. We reduced theirs from 246 to 222, and we kept the jobs the same. We did not change the Fredericksburg data because that fell within the VDOT recommended thresholds. Telling you that because these maps are the result. So by making those adjustments to the travel demand model, we've come into compliance with VDOT and the state's required maximum population growth rates. And we produced the old map and the new map, and Lida will explain those maps to you today in her presentation. That's just the numbers of what we did. John, next slide. This is just for information, again, like all these other things. Surrey County published, was quoted in this newspaper article that they're going to join the Crater Planning District Commission, who are embarking on a regional transportation authority for their region. They're below Richmond. So the next piece of the interstate highway system, they are embarking on that as their next opportunity, and they're putting legislation into the General Assembly in Virginia to create a regional transportation authority.
Ian, as a point of clarification, the Crater PDC is the PDC that's centered on Petersburg.
Yes,
correct?
Petersburg, Virginia, and it's 11 localities, cities and counties and whatever else. So yes.
So why are you bringing this to, why'd you put this in your RTA, Surrey County?
So any new big transportation things that happen in the state, I always give you one little line summary of what it is. It's just for information.
Oh, okay.
Next slide. The way ahead, just a couple of things. We had a question last month as to when to approve the river crossing report. Because you all decided to move your January policy committee meeting earlier to the 12th, we don't think that there's any crisis about calling a special meeting to adopt this report that is before you today, and you heard the public hearing on. So it would be fine for us to do it on the 12th, and I just suggest you do that. It means we don't have to call a special meeting. You can just do it in your normal meeting on the 12th of January.
Ian, as a point of clarification, the public has 2 more days, right, until Wednesday the 19th.
Correct.
To submit comments, and we will hear those at the January meeting.
Correct. If there are any new ones that come in, we will tell you about them at the January meeting.
Okay.
That's the reason why we can't adopt the report right now, because when we commit to 30 days, we commit to 30 days. And today we're not yet at 30 days. We're at like 28 days or whatever it is.
Supervisor Bumke has a question there.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair, just that, the boards, advisors and the city council will be reconstituting who's going to be on all their commissions and committees. It could be some of the same. I'll have a void, John will have a void. That's asking a lot of new people to maybe come to their very first meeting and vote on something that they don't really know anything about.
There is an alternative, Chairperson. The alternative is that you could empower the executive of the FAMPO Policy Committee to meet in 2 days or 3 days' time after that 30-day period has expired, to consider if any new additional comments have come in, and to then accept the report on your behalf. The third option would be that we call another short policy committee meeting, which only has 1 item on the agenda. It's just to vote for the document. Remember, we have to comply with the rules, so we have to give 3 days notice, and then you have to be in person. Unless you voted that there was some emergency, and then we could call an online meeting, but you would have to vote that there's some kind of emergency. So those are the 3 options. We either can adopt it on January the 12th. I understand your concerns with that. Or you delegate your authority to the executive, which is the chair from each jurisdiction, right? So the FAMPO chair, the vice chair, the second vice chair, and then they could meet in 3 days' time once the 30-day clock has run out and make the adoption. Or you could call a special meeting also next week or the week after, and have a 1-issue policy committee meeting to vote.
The other option would be, if I can just follow, would be if there are existing FAMPO members that will continue on, they could bring the other member up to speed with maybe a short period of time to be able to vote on the 12th and be educated on the matter.
And we're happy to facilitate documents and explanations and whatever else, but it's really your decision.
I was just gonna, piggyback off of Supervisor Bomke. I was thinking that she meant that more time than less. Sure. So what if we, take some more time? Would that be against policy to do that?
We have one problem with that. You all decided that we need to submit an application for a build grant. And we believe that the closing date for that is going to be the 30th of January. So if we haven't adopted the study, it's going to create, Becky, a problem with submitting the build grant when we don't have a study that supports the project. So we do need to adopt it by the 30th of January. That's for us, well, maybe the 29th. That's for us
That's as far as we could go?
Yeah,
Okay.
otherwise then we miss out on the chance for the build federal
No, of
dollars.
course not, but, from January 12th to the 29th, at least it's 2 more weeks, but.
You could change your January meeting again if you want.
Supervisor Diggs?
I would just support the executive, the ability to do it. Moving it 2 more weeks isn't gonna change what new people coming on are gonna be able to learn or not learn. We'll have another meeting, either or, but I think those are the 2 realistic options.
I'm not, I don't love the giving the power to the executive as part of the executive. I think this is a big enough matter before when we've been spending 2 years and a lot of money on this, and it's a potentially transformative project. I think all members of I would like to see all members be on record with their support or lack of their support for that. So if in an emergency posture, I think that would be okay, but I would rather pursue other alternatives first. Yeah, Supervisor.
So I don't know if this is proper or not, but or to take the temperature right now, straw vote or something like that, what's on the fence that would change or not change?
There is one other alternative that I didn't propose this because when I heard it the first time, I thought it was odd.
Can we, I want to
Sorry.
follow up on Supervisor Bolt's point, and then we can explore that option. Yeah.
He just sparked the thought. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job
Hashing it out.
So in the effort, in the spirit of like kind of keeping things going on, we're already behind from the original date timeline. So pushing into the next year, I just feel like that's not an option, the right option.
All right,
What is in the
Supervisor.
next year,
Yeah.
January 12th?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so if I'm hearing you correctly, then we could have a special meeting
Yes.
for this.
Yes.
And I do think we have been talking about this for 2 years, at least, right? And I believe that the people that are around this table should probably be the ones that are, voting on this. I don't think it's fair to have new people come in, not fully understanding all the history that's occurred with this. And, I mean, you all want to go out on record, right?
I'm wondering if we're gonna get cake at the special meeting.
Put it in the freezer.
The cake might not hold.
All right,
So
Ian, you had another, oh, sorry,
But go to people that haven't had.
Ian said he thought of another potential alternative.
Stephen Haynes, who was also a very long-standing member of VDOT and the district and is now working part-time there, he once said to me, another thing you can do is adopt the report pending no new adverse comments being received in 2 days. However, the problem here is that you probably will get an adverse comment. So it's not really an option. The best,
How about positive comments?
the best option, yeah. The best option is probably to call a very short meeting. That's probably the best option, but then we would need to find a date when we have to get a quorum. If we don't have a quorum, then we can't do business. So you have to have one from each jurisdiction has to be there, and you have to have a minimum of 6 voting members. So I would suggest you should ask to be sure that all 3 chairs will be the chair and the vice chairs, plus at least another 3 members to have a meeting, and we have to give 3 days notice. So it can't be in the next 3 days, but it can be any other time between now and Christmas.
If you wanted to add something, and then Supervisor Diggs too.
So this kind of has to do with what Drew asked. And maybe this is a fly in the. And it kind of goes back to a lot of the public comments that we heard on the screen as well as tonight. I guess for me, I'm sitting here looking at this list and I don't know if we have the ability to do this, so I need input. When I look at item number 16, with Carl D. Silver Parkway at Gordon Hilton, at 285, we're going from 14 minutes to 54.
Seconds.
I mean, seconds, sorry, thank you.
Phew.
That gives me pause, and especially with some of these other numbers on here. So my question would be, and then if you look at which I just can't say I read the entire 747-page report that's on our agenda tonight, but I did look at, if you look at page 11, it talks about the purpose of this project. It's to provide additional north-south travel capacity across the Rappahannock River to support travel moving between points west of I-95 and the FAMPO region. And there are 3 different things in here. It says need A, establish an interconnected grid system of roads. Yep. Establish a new multimodal connection across the Rappahannock. Check. And then the last one is create additional routes for emergency responders. So I go back to, if we're using taxpayer money, whether it's federal or and state, what is the real purpose of the river crossing? I thought it was more than just these 3 items. So I'm asking the collection of people here, should we be looking at an additional study to, and I haven't floated this by the Spotsylvania people, to push C out further to like the land that you all own right before Meadows Farm? Because when you listen to the public comment, it's like we're pushing everybody into Central Park where we already have this big problems, and the numbers, the data shows us that right here. So I'm saying, why are we doing this? Why are we moving forward something that really doesn't make sense? So there's my fly in the ointment.
Where's Meadows Farm?
Meadows Farm is out Route 3 past, is it past Salem?
Yes. 5 mile.
So you're talking about a crossing by Mott's Run?
I don't know where it would be on that side. Somebody that's more familiar out there. I'm just saying you push it out past Salem Church where you've got that big problem there from where you get off 95. So anyway, that has to do with all of these other things we're discussing, so.
The Supervisor Hayes and Supervisor Young.
So that was sort of what CTAC was kind of pushing before, just trying to, because if you remember, the scope was sort of narrow.
Right.
And so CTAC came in and said, let's push the scope farther out.
Right.
So we can get, because there's no guarantee that, where we are right now is going to even be viable, right?
Correct.
So CTAC really wanted to push this study out far. So, I mean, we would be in favor of, but let me finish again first. We would be in favor of expanding that study. For sure, to see where exactly the best route is.
All right. Supervisor Young is next.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
yes.
I wasn't sure if this is the question and concern time because I did read 700, but I read enough to have questions on my document right here, and I just wanted to know when I could ask these questions.
Well, we're about to have a presentation in the
Okay.
next,
So-
under the
so
action
I will
discussion
wait.
items,
I wasn't
right?
sure
So why don't we let Supervisor Mullins jump in, and then maybe we table this discussion of the substance of this until we get to the report, and then we'll let Mr. Alice get back on with his.
Yeah, I don't want to divert conversation towards this topic, essentially what has been done numerous times, and there have been some studies done when 10, 15 years ago, when we had access to some of that land, both of us on the Stafford side and sponsor side. But the scope or the drive for that was a different objective. It was kind of bringing traffic directly over 17, maybe serving the area that Geico and Mary Washington. So, that general area wasn't centered around Central Park. Central Park option, in our opinion as a county, serves generally revenue and ancillary movement to emergency response and hospitalization, things like that. I mean, if you're going to look at solving a problem, identify it first. And if the acute problem is we need emergency responders to get to a hospital quicker, a bridge shouldn't even be in the option. It should be build a hospital on 17 or build a critical care unit there. If that's framing the issue, that issue has been kind of our opinion, kind of a window dressing to like using stoplight data, shorten response times to Mary Washington, et cetera. So to get back on this, I think it's time to put this to bed one way or the other, right? Either we vote, we move forward, whatever the recommendation is. But I do feel like item 3 that you mentioned doesn't provide the ROI on solving that problem could change with population growth and congestion. Like right now we project response times that would be favorable if we had a river crossing right there. But all kinds of factors could change. Build out all of the 17 side or the Celebrate Virginia side on your side or on the Stafford side, and you have a different density problem. Just getting through from 17 across there. So, sorry about that. But again, there are existing studies, is that right, Ian, that showed a couple of viable things that now are overcome by events. It doesn't work. So
Right, let's let Mr. Alice get back to his report, and then we'll hear from the engineers, and then we can get back into the subject.
Yes, we've got the consultant here to make his final presentation on the study and to answer any final questions. This crossing has been studied since 1992. To answer your question, there have been tons of studies, and each time there's been a problem. The item on your agenda that you just have for the annual listing of transportation project obligations, it's an action item, but it's an administrative process after the fact. So the financial year closed on the 30th of June. And then some months later, we always get this list of projects to say, this is what money was spent on projects during the previous financial year. We just need to adopt it. So there's nothing in there that you don't already know. It's old projects, old money, last financial year. We're just saying, yes, nobody stole the money, or these projects aren't imaginary. They really were projects that were completed. And just to remind you that unless tonight you decide to have a December meeting, the committees are in recess in December. That's my report.
Okay. Let's move on to item 9A, the draft Rappahannock River Crossing Parkway Alternative Study Report. We got Mr. Shelton here from Michael Baker International.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me back. Pleased tonight to really just provide a very high level presentation tonight on the Crossing Alternatives Report. All the data we presented to you previously, really the only thing that's new, and we'll get into it, is after you all made the selection of an alternative, we went back and developed a project sketch and a fee estimate having that. But go ahead, John, go to the next one. So just a reminder, I think everybody knows what the intent of the study was, what the scope of the study was, which was to look at a preferred alternative for future funding application of a new crossing west of I-95. So as you all have discussed, it have a very specific study area that we looked at for this study. I also want to note that while this is not technically a planning and environmental linkages study, that is an official FHWA designation, we did follow the PEL process for this study. So a number of you have mentioned that this report is 700 pages. Well, it's 700 pages because that is documentation that FHWA will be looking for should this advance into the NEPA process. They will be looking for all that documentation of the public engagement and the press articles and all the other things that we have in there, as well as the technical documentation that's in that appendix as well. We'll go to the next slide. So really in very high level, what's included in that report and the work that we've conducted up to this point, developed the purpose and need, which you all were discussing. The agency coordination that we did, again, not an official PEL process, but that's again something that FHWA will be looking for to make sure that happened. And just a reminder to some of the agencies that we coordinated with, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, EPA, Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Resources, Wildlife Resources, Environmental Quality, Department of Conservation and Recreation, Outdoors Foundation, the localities sitting around the table tonight, FXB Go, USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, FHWA Region 2, Northern Virginia Conservation Trust, Nature Conservancy, Central Virginia Battlefields Trust, U.S. Coast Guard, and Friends of the Rappahannock. So we coordinated with, we sent coordination letters out to all those agencies to make them aware of the study, give them the opportunity to provide input on the study. We conducted a meeting, we're all invited to. The other significant effort of this, again, knowing that the goal might be to eventually go to a NEPA study, is extensive stakeholder and public engagement as part of this effort. And then, of course, the technical aspect of this report, which was the evaluation of corridors and developing the sketch and the cost estimate for the preferred alternative. John, next slide. Just a reminder of the technical analysis that was conducted. We looked at a variety of traffic data. We did both a regional model analysis using the regional travel demand model, the same model that FAMPO uses for the development of their long-range transportation plan. So all the assumptions for growth and development in the region are the same assumptions that FAMPO uses when they do all their transportation planning work. And then we did micro simulation, is where we at the various intersections and looked at the level of service at the intersections and developed all these maps that have circles on them that you all have seen previously. Environmental screening was the other significant part of this effort. We did what's called a desktop environmental analysis. We looked at resources that were ready available from the partner agencies, such as Department of Historic Resources, VDOT, Department of Conservation. So we looked at conservation and recreational resources in the region, floodplains and floodways within the study area, cultural resources, including historic resources, as well as the built and the planned development as part of our analysis to try to see the impact each alternative would have on each of those. And then, of course, public input was also a factor that we took into account as part of our analysis. John? For this preliminary study, really the goal of this is, when you're doing a feasibility analysis, is to rule out any alternatives that are not feasible. What we determined from this was that options A, B1, B2, and C were all viable options for river crossings. However, option D was not recommended and is considered to be screened out, and that was primarily because of the impact on the number of residential units that you have along the option D corridor that just could not be mitigated. Something that's important to remember when this moves on to NEPA, or if this should move on to NEPA, all alternatives will be looked at again. This entire process will more or less be repeated. There will be opportunity to alter the options in NEPA if you so choose. I know there's been talk about some variations on some of the options that we evaluated for this that will be included in NEPA. Also very important, no build is going to be highly evaluated in NEPA. So at the June 16th board meeting, the policy committee endorsed option C as the locally preferred corridor. And caveat there, that was just to give us the instruction to move forward with developing a sketch and a cost estimate on a preferred alternative. That does not mean that it's getting built, does not mean that that's moving forward in any way, shape, or form until you all take some sort of action to adopt the plan and decide what your next action is. So endorsing as locally preferred corridor only gave us the green light to develop a sketch and cost estimate for the purposes of this study. Okay, next slide. So as I mentioned, we did develop a concept sketch for option C. I'm not going to go into the details of the concept sketch for two reasons. One, VDOT has given us some feedback that we're working on addressing, so there's going to be a little some adjustments on both the sketch and the cost estimate. Nothing too major, but we're still working to adjust it. The other thing is that this sketch and cost estimate, again, will not be final until something goes through the NEPA process. So this is just to give you the information you need to get to the next phase should you desire to move this forward. So that's what this is. This is the best information we have today, based off the best information we have today, but it is by no means at the level of detail that you would need to go to construction. We also updated the report recently to acknowledge the technology overlay district. Of course, that was not on the radar when we did our evaluation of the built and proposed development in the region. So that has been added. We've specifically identified and acknowledged that in the report in the conclusions. And as I mentioned, we received comments from VDOT and several member localities. So we are working through those as we speak. So once we have those addressed, we'll have everything kind of buttoned up and given back to Ian and his staff for final review. I will note that most of the comments we've received are relatively minor items. We haven't really received any comments that are really going to upend anything that's been presented thus far, like VDOT comments, for example, hey, we need an extra foot next to the median on our typical section, things of that nature. And looking at the cost estimates, a few odds and ends in the cost estimates. But for the most part, we don't anticipate any wholesale changes based off the comments we've received thus far. John? Okay, so where do we go from here? So as you all have already discussed, the next action is for the policy committee to determine whether or not you choose to adopt the report or not. As Ian mentioned, FAMPO is looking at pursuing a build grant for engineering and NEPA. So essentially some of that referred to as preliminary engineering work. As I mentioned previously, when you get a NEPA, all those options that we looked at will be evaluated at a much finer level of detail. A more detailed environmental investigation will be conducted under FHWA consultation. That means boots on the ground. That means people out in the field, walking up and down the corridor, taking samples, seeing what's out there so that no stone is left unturned. What we did was just a desktop analysis based off of data that's currently available. But this will actually be boots on the ground environmental investigation. Mitigation strategies for any environmental impacts will have to be identified during NEPA. Robust public engagement. Again, all the alternatives will go back out to the public. No bill will go back out to the public. The goal is to identify a preferred alternative that would advance the final design. That's what you're looking for to come out of the NEPA process. And then staff also added a note about a potential smart scale application now or in the future. So once you get through NEPA, you have to find the money to build it. And the best source that we have here at the state now is smart scale for doing a project of this magnitude. And even then have to be very competitive. And there's some strategy as to how you navigate smart scale. And that'll be discussed further down the line. John, I think that's all I've got for you all tonight. I wanted to keep it short, give you all the opportunity to ask me any questions you have on the report.
Councilor Holmes.
Baker, you talked about NEPA would thoroughly investigate the no build option, which means they would take into account the impact on the environment if we do nothing. Yes or no?
So everything has to be.
I just want to understand that.
Right, everything has to be compared against that no build. So any impact that you create over the no build will have to be evaluated, and a mitigation strategy will have to be identified. So that's really, so the no build is really kind of is the baseline that you're comparing everything against. Whereas what we did for this study is we said, well, will the bridge even work? So we didn't really compare it against the no build. We were just saying, well, aside from the traffic analysis that we did. So when you're looking at NEPA, every alternative that gets evaluated is being evaluated against that no build. So any impact that it has, environmental, cultural, historical, traffic, has to be evaluated against that no build. So that's kind of the difference when you get into NEPA, is it's really strongly comparing the alternatives versus the no build.
I took Councilor asking though, do you evaluate the environmental impacts of no build, i.e. if we don't fix traffic and we make people drive a longer way around, do we assess the environmental impacts of that versus building?
That's kind of what I want to know. Yeah, because like, you know, what we've talked about, I don't know, however long ago was that one of the reasons that we needed some kind of other river crossing or something to help with all of the congestion, even with the new models, that because to not do it means that people are stuck in traffic longer, which also emits more, you know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Exactly. Yeah. So yes, you would be looking at the congestion scenarios and that no build, the congestion impacts in the no build scenario. And yeah, as you mentioned, where you have traffic setting, you're emitting NOx and all the other greenhouse gases. Evaluated. Yes, that's yes.
So
that will be looked at.
That
That will. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for clarifying.
Supervisor Young.
Yeah, just one of my questions, so I don't know how many I'm gonna get through, but just get clarity on the Garrisonville traffic act. So we have like about what, 7, I can't remember which page it was on, 7,000 to 8,600 hour trip. So I wanted to understand clearly any of the traffic could ultimately spill over onto Garrisonville 610 corridor. And if so, this current modeling didn't show the impact, because this is something that I keep asking. I want it to be confirmed, and if there's any potential indirect effect of this. I don't know how early, I don't know if I have to wait for NEPA study, or is there something that you'll tell me now?
Yeah, so what we did for this is we looked at the intersection delay in the study area based off the change in intersection delay based on the various alternatives. When you get into NEPA, what you will have to do is for each alternative that's being evaluated, you will have to look at the upstream and downstream impacts in more detail and develop mitigation strategies. That means you'll actually have to get to the level of, hey, this might need an additional turn lane at this intersection. This intersection might need to have the signal retimed. Maybe we want to do a roundabout at this intersection. Who knows? So when you get to the NEPA stage, you're going into that level of detail to really see where the traffic is routing and rerouting based off of the improved. So we have not done that at this stage.
Okay, and so similarly, 17, right, the corridor, that's a feeder of so many, and that was the other concern, that if the bridge crossing increases on our US 17, that we need to ensure that, again, unintentional secondary congestion that pushes not only from 17 but also onto 610. And similarly, in terms of 610, trying to figure out how to phrase my question. Just go to somebody else right now.
Can we just get some clarity on that last question?
I'm sorry?
No, I just want to ask if we can get some clarity from the consultant on the last question. If I understand correctly, by building the bridge, it improves the congestion on 17, yes? Doesn't make it
Yeah.
worse,
Right.
it makes it
Yeah.
better.
I believe that's correct. So we looked at the intersection delay. And then of course we have the travel demand results as well. And that's
There we go.
I think
You're right.
find it. So the travel demand results show how the traffic kind of reroutes with any crossing. We didn't do it specifically for C. We just did it for, we just kind of drew an imaginary line on the map, more or less in the vicinity of B. We did the travel demand results. And of course, I can't find it at the moment. There is a graphic in here that shows the results of that. It shows how the traffic reroutes based off of that. Here's this guy. So if you go to page 19. So the what my readers on. I just turned 50.
Gosh, I'm older than him.
So the pink lines on this map represent an increase in traffic, and the blue lines represent a decrease in traffic. So if you look at the first one, it's option B2 relative to a no build. So you can see the blue lines on both 3 and 17 showing a decrease on both of those facilities.
Just say that again, because some people have the opposite impression. Please just say that again. It's important.
That's 19 on your report slides, correct?
19 in the doc.
Yeah, it's page 23 of the PDF.
So with saying that though, the question or comment that I have is that are any of the traffic studies, the traffic impact studies that are going on right now with some of the builds, heavily being built in Stafford County, are they included in these numbers?
So we used the future travel demand model. It's the same model that FAMPO uses for the long range transportation plan. That future build year reflects the future land use planned for this region. So it might not be exactly representative of an individual development, but it captures the zoning and the land use, the future land use of the region as a whole.
As we are now even going back and creating new studies, even now, like in the last couple of months, because I'm not sure if we missed it, but we're creating new studies because we don't think we have it right. So whatever we have now, even though it's based on our study, it does not include everything that.
And I'll just note that, so this advanced MEPA, latest, greatest updated model data will be used to do this analysis during the NEPA process. The models are constantly updated. VDOT updates the statewide model every several years, and then there's updates to the regional model can happen on an interim basis as well. So anyway, that's a big question for staff.
We all use the same model. There is only one model. So the same model the Stafford studies are using is the same model that we use, is the same model that VDOT uses. VDOT actually.
One thing for the bills that are happening right now, that traffic studies. So where in the world do we allow companies to do their own traffic studies, and we don't have a company, a third party doing it? They purchase the study, so therefore it's their study. And we're finding that when it gets to VDOT is like, okay, this doesn't look correct. You didn't do this. So you have 87 points that you have to go back and look at, but that's neither here or there. My concern is that those are not included. For example, if a hotel is supposed to be built off of 95 and you have zero traffic, that's not correct. So if that's the study you have, I know for a fact that you don't have the right numbers.
So just to understand this clearly, the model builds in the increased population, the increased jobs, the increased number of households that are going to be built that don't exist yet. They're looking at the year 2050, and your staff have put into that model, and Leader's going to show you what it does just now. All of the anticipated new houses, new businesses per transportation analysis zone.
And they already did that, correct?
It's already in the model.
Okay, so I am telling you,
Last year,
I'm telling you
yeah,
that we have to go back, go back and have new studies or thinking of bringing new studies on traffic pattern that we missed based on some of these companies that are bringing in their traffic study.
always a moving target
Okay.
because you all
I just want to make sure
you-
that
you all
your
approve.
mindset is where I'm going in terms of the information I have that you don't.
you all approve projects every month, every year, right? So what this travel demand model that VDOT manages does is that it averages out across every census block in the region the anticipated growth based on how many units are planned to be built or how many units are likely to be built. And your staff, county staff, the city staff, view those numbers. VDOT hires a consultant to review those numbers. And anything beyond today is new information. There's no perfect model. There's no final point we can get to where we've now got the model right. Because the next morning, Spotsylvania will vote for another project, or Stafford will vote for a project, or the city will approve a new condo building. So it moves constantly. So what we do is every 5 years, we update the model again and again and again and again. We just did it with the population numbers.
Okay.
Because the suspicion was by a VDOT central office that we had increased our population predictions too high. So we have now reduced them because VDOT was unhappy that we're anticipating too much growth. They agree with us that our growth is going to be the fastest growing region in the state of Virginia till the year 2050, but they thought we'd put just a little too many in terms of population and the jobs. So in my slides, I showed you how we've reduced those.
Yeah, I saw that.
To come in line with VDOT's assessment.
Can I just have my 2 more comments so I could,
Yeah,
could
then
go
we
on
can
to the
move
next
on.
person? Okay, so being a member of the Water Basin Commission, I just wanted to make sure that we look at, and this is something for you or when we get to the NEPA study, but it's more about no piers in the river, no disturbance to the riverbed and full span bridging whenever possible. Those are the things that I was thinking of. In terms of Garrisonville, for example, in 610 has a CDA. We have a CDA that we're paying for Garrisonville Road. And 17 has a CDA.
You mean a service
The
district?
service district, yeah. And so to me, I know we know what the goal or objective is. It's not for me to go to Wegmans, okay? It's really to reduce traffic. I was always on the east side. I was thinking east side, not west. But since everybody went with west, I know what traffic looks like up there. I know what traffic looks like. I live it in Garrisonville, and right now you tell me that it's not going to affect it and it's going to reduce it instead. I have a bridge to sell you. No, I'm just kidding. That was the bridge thing. Yeah, laugh.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, but anyway, for the 610 and making sure that I guess if we have a CDA or service district that maybe we could do that with 17 because, and I am not saying that all these other counties have to not pay into it, but I'm saying that who does it benefit? I think needs to pay for it. Are we gonna have all taxpayers pay for something that's only going to relieve traffic certain places? And if anything, I think the state needs to be paying for this, not the region. This is just.
We're a long way from figuring out money.
I understand, but I'm
We're
just
long
saying.
way from- I think Supervisor Hayes.
Yeah, I just have,
Yeah.
just to clarify on that document there, so that is also you're accounting for the Harrison Road interchange too, correct?
It depends on which piece.
So that
So-
greatly helps
so-
river crossing.
Yeah, it depends on which one of these 3 graphics you're looking at. This Look at this one. This is just a river crossing,
Right.
Right,
no Harrison Road.
For that, to summarize, you see improvements on 17 in Stafford, on Route 1 on Stafford in the city, and you see improvements on 95. And the big impacts seem to be largely on Celebrate Virginia Park. The negative impacts seem to be largely on Celebrate Virginia Parkway because currently a road to nowhere and it would be a road to somewhere.
Correct.
And in Central Park, right? And some impacts on Route 3 west of Bragg Road, between Bragg Road and Harrison Church, right?
Yes.
But if you added the Harrison Road interchange, you would maintain the improvements on 17 and 1. You would actually see worse traffic on 95 with the Harrison Road interchange, but you would see meaningful improvements on Route 3 and Salem Church.
right, so
That's the choice.
and
Right.
that's what I want to bring up, because when we talked about it initially, we were just talking about the river crossing,
Mhm.
right? And then we were concerned about, what that would do to Route 3. And that's when Harrison Road sort of got dumped in there. But we've done enough, that was just modeling, that's not been any kind of anything going down the road of more studying. Right, okay,
No.
all right, I just wanna,
No, for the record, I would be supportive if we wanted to move forward on the Harrison
Thank you.
Road thing. No, because I think the two together make a ton of sense.
There are about
Right.
3 studies, not just this one. There are about 3 studies which have studied the Harrison Road interchange. It might even be more. We'll have to ask Paul. There's at least 3 studies on the Harrison Road interchange which show how it improves Route 3.
right.
It's a long-standing thing that we know.
We've been talking about that for
Yeah,
probably 20 years, right?
there are multiple studies which
Yeah.
show that
Mhm.
that helps Route 3 significantly.
Yeah,
And also, we examined Route 3 in some detail. We did model runs with VDOT before the study. And the section of Route 3 between I-95 and Bragg Road actually reduces traffic. It's a small reduction.
It gets better with
But
the river.
just building the river crossing, it reduces that traffic because some people will come down the bridge and go into Central Park. They won't come down I-95 and go into Central Park. But the section of Route 3 between Bragg Road and Salem Church does get a little increase in traffic because people come across the bridge and they want to go down Salem Church Road. So it's a mixed bag, Route 3. There's not one answer to Route 3. The first little section reduces traffic. The next little section increases traffic. Further out, there's no change.
Can I pull up Mr. Watkins' chart here, which I really appreciate you taking the time to print off for us, right? This is just the bridge crossing. Route 3 and Bragg Road, actually a small improvement, right? There's 2 seconds less of delay.
right.
Route 3 at Salem Church, which is at the other end of that section that's impacted, is a 1 second increase, right? So a 2.4. So it does make it worse, right? But that is, I think, relatively speaking, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to notice a second here or there at a stop line, right?
2 seconds.
Or 2 seconds, right? That means that it's functionally the same, right? Where you see the really bad negative, impacts are Banks Ford Parkway and Celebrate Virginia, because it goes from essentially no traffic at all, right? Because those are 2 big wide roads that don't go to it, to being, from 3 seconds to 21 seconds, which in percentage terms looks really bad, right? But we're still talking about a 21-second delay there.
And that's because that road now has very little
That's
traffic.
because nobody drives on it
Because you can't get across the river. So it's obvious that the traffic will go up if you
Right.
put a big bridge there.
The other large negative impacts are essentially in Central Park, right, along Carl.
Self-driving car.
Right?
By 2050.
And the benefit?
And the benefits, right, are spread quite widely along the 17 corridor, right? I'm looking at some big negative numbers along the 17 corridor in Stafford County, right? I'm looking at some big negative numbers along Route 1 in Falmouth and through into the city, right? And then I'm seeing, essentially sort of a little bit of a wash, some negative, some positive along Route 3.
And around the hospital, it improved traffic significantly around the hospital.
Right, hospital. So I've heard what folks are saying, right? I think there's lots of great ideas out there. I do think that we've put 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears into this study, and I think we need to move it forward. And you know, if we want to study a crossing further out too, right? I think that is a conversation we can have, right? But I think that we defined the scope of this study pretty clearly, right? And we've accomplished what we tried to find out within the scope of the study, and I think it's time to move forward. We're not, but Supervisor Bonke had her hand up.
Right, so I just want to make sure for the record, in the report, it specifically is referring to option B2 was the
Mhm.
one that was chosen. And I just want to make sure with Michael Baker and in the whole NEPA analysis, if we move forward with this, that the B2 is not going to be, what, that was just the one that you all selected.
Mhm.
That wasn't the priority of this, right? And so I just want everybody to remember that it was just the one that they picked for this analysis. And also, if there are other offshoots that maybe make more sense on in all the looking at the different options, that the NEPA study will take that into account. Is that an accurate statement?
Correct. And if I may, I just want to read a couple sentences on page 18.
Okay,
The team selected B2 specifically due to its central location in the study area. This did not have any bearing on the determination of a preferred alternative. So
Perfect.
we did document that in the report to hopefully eliminate any confusion.
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. I didn't read that page, but I.
Right.
Page 18.
That's why we pay him to be here.
Yeah.
Want clarification then, if we're gonna move this forward, are we moving forward what the study shows?
We adopt the study as
As a study that they.
we have done this study and FAMPO has officially adopted this study.
Okay.
We have complete the process.
We adopt the study, and then we have, obviously, the collective prefers something slightly different, right? Okay, but we're adopting the study, correct? All right. Then is this a time to make a motion that we either work on, one of the options of having a special meeting, or how do we want to, I mean, because I think we're kind of
I
hash
think we
it
need to
out.
make a motion for
Yeah.
the report
For
first,
report
to move
first?
forward with the NEPA study, wouldn't we?
Well, but we can't for 2 more days.
Oh, right.
That's what I mean, so
So
is
we
this
need
the
to talk
time?
about the special meeting
But
that
now
we're
we need to
gonna
figure out
have
the
in a couple of days
the-
to
yeah,
vote
I
on.
guess that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Could I give a little guidance?
yeah, Ian.
Just a quick thing. There are 2 things to do. The one thing is you already voted that we should prepare an application for a build grant to do the NEPA study, right? That's what you voted 2 meetings back. The only thing you need to do now is
The
we've
special
reached the end of the road with the study. We've got the final report in front of you. And you need to set aside a time to vote yes or no and adopt the report. That's all.
Day first.
We will then continue. That's all you need.
Yeah, and for another 2 days.
No, but I mean, we
So
can.
let's
Let's
make a
just-
motion to meet and pick a
Or
date.
discuss like who's available, what, let's
Yeah.
hash that part out, whether it's a thing.
Unless
Do you
you know,
Do you need a couple of days to make edits to the report? Don't worry about the cost estimate and the sketch. That is not in the report. So the report itself, can you have that ready to us by when? By the end of the week, by next week?
Yeah,
Because it's only the report we're talking.
I think the report is actually ready to go. I think it's Danny right now.
Yes.
I'll double check.
We can
Oh, yeah.
do it on Thanksgiving Day. That's a
Okay.
great idea. We can do it on Thanksgiving.
So if we met here in a week today, the report would be ready.
Hey,
Yes, I think we're okay. We can do that.
So like
I would do
Monday or something.
I do the turkey.
University. Mr. Chair,
yes.
as a bidder, many of us are here for GW.
Next Monday night with
And if we only had one issue we can make it work.
WRC is at 6.
Yeah,
that.
So could we meet at 5:30?
Think of that on mine,
yeah, that's good.
That's fine.
What day is that?
That's the 20th.
24th.
Ooh.
It's just right ahead of.
We get food for that meeting though?
Yes,
4th of.
we will make sure you get sandwiches.
I'll be here. I'll talk about the.
And we will send out a note. There's only one item on the agenda. And all you need to do is vote to adopt the report or vote to not adopt the report, and then we're done.
And we will have to hear any public comments that are submitted in the next 2 days.
Any additional public comments we
We'll be
will
ready.
bring to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can have leftover cake too.
The cake might still be good.
That's
Cake. This cake has become such
We'll
a
have a
thing.
drink afterward. Oh, wait, we got a meeting after that.
We could do both.
At 5:30,
At 5:30, is that?
or 5 or 5:30?
5, I think.
I can't do 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
I'm supposed to work in.
I'm working until 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So
5:30 is fine.
I'll be skating in.
You won't need long unless we get a lot of public comments, but we can send them to you in advance to read.
Okay, so, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we meet next Monday, November 24th at 5:30 here to hear the rest of the public comments and make a decision on the report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
That was a really good idea. That saved us.
The chair, point of privilege, needs to put this in his calendar before he forgets. Right, real quick, guys.
Can
Sorry.
you put it on the
The
calendar?
You'll make it.
Thank you. Well,
chair knows how he goes, so just put it in his calendar right now.
we will email you a reminder.
Thank you. All right, thanks, everybody. Okay, so we'll move on now to item 9B, the FAMPO updated 2050 congestion maps. Ms. Hinkle?
And these maps answer the question, what happens if we do nothing? Here it is. This is the picture of what happens if we do nothing.
Very.
Yes, Ian sort of introduced these maps and his administrator's report. And I know that earlier from some other maps I made around this time last year. But if you go to the next slide, these are mapping congestion in the region for the year 2050 with the new land use data in the model. We had to reduce some population data in Spotsylvania and in Stafford to comply with VDOT standards. So we worked with the county staff and updated those figures, and then I've run the model again with the new population figures, new and reduced population figures. And we'll talk about that and what's changed. So on the next slide, there's all three maps. You can also see them posted on the wall, just behind Ian.
Over here on the wall, got them.
Yes. So the first two that look pretty much the same are the original data run through the model from 2050 and the updated, using the same categories there. And you can see it's just really hard to notice a change in congestion, which is why I produced also this third map, mapping the change. And that was just produced by taking the original land use data and subtracting it from the updated land use data. And while that highlights areas of significant change, not all of those roadways were still of enough change to drop a category or increase the category. Where a roadway might have been extreme congestion, it might still be congestion even with significant change. So next slide, this is just a closer look at that, and that's the point I kind of made there. That, you know, if you look at the first two maps, they still might be the same color. They might be in the same category on those roadways. And then the next slide is just a closer look of that updated land use data and the congestion mapped for 2050. And just for a little context, the upper right blurb there says some roadways today that are experiencing, that are measured at these levels of congestion. So you get a feel for what that looks like in 2050 when more roadways are, when roadways have just shifted. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Final comment from me. If you look at this map and you look at this map, what do you see?
Well, the same one.
It looks almost exactly the same. But we've now taken out all those thousands of people and jobs that I told you about, right? So this is the one we had that VDOT central office did not like. Remember, you wrote the letter to the secretary and he told us he doesn't like it. They didn't like it. So we got the new data, which they accepted. It now complies with VDOT's maximum number of jobs increase and population increase, right? So we're now in compliance with the maximums that we are allowed by reducing thousands and thousands of people that supposedly are going to move into Stafford and Spotsylvania. And there's so little change that you can't even see the difference. There is a difference. Yeah, the differences. But there's small differences. And that's what our discussions with VDOT central office came to. That our road network is limited. Because the road network is limited and the rate of growth of the population, even if we suppress the rate of growth of population, it's still going to get terrible on certain roads. Right? And we know which roads because they're the ones in red. So Route 3 is going to get much worse. This model is done without the river crossing being built. But it does include all of the projects in the current long-range plan. So if we build all the projects in the current long-range plan, it will still look like this in 2050. That is the concern. The concern is we're losing ground against the traffic growth. We're not breaking even. And I can just hear in 2050, Mr. Mullins saying to me, or Mr. Jakubowski, who's not here. So we did all that work and we still got the same problem. We don't have to wait till 2050. I can tell you, based on this already, that you're still going to have the same problem, right? You don't have to wait till 2050 to tell me that. There it is. These roads in Stafford are going to be problematic in 2050, based on the projects that we've identified in the current long-range plan that we're going to build, and projects that VDOT is going to build. Hence, we've not built into this river crossing because it's not yet in existence.
So.
Dr. Young could just have all her people get scooters.
So you see right there, you said extreme congestion Garrisonville Road at mine, but
Yes.
my point is, even with the crossing, they have to come through. And so my statement still remains the same. How do we move them through?
So there's currently no direct connection from river crossing to Garrisonville Road, right? There's
Ain't no
currently no
speeding.
connection. The Western network proposed in the East-West study tries to build a connection through, but there's no connection through to Garrisonville Road. Garrisonville Road's traffic problem is caused because of Quantico. See the big white hole up there? We are not allowed to build a road across Quantico.
And not only that, they closed the road that was open for years.
Correct.
After 9/11, but still.
Correct.
Still remains.
Correct.
You could build the bridge, but the people still have to go
Anyway,
through
sure.
there and we don't have enough roads.
Right. So the bridge is not a solution to Garrison's problem.
Thank you. Yes.
That is
But-
true. We
But
need
there
to have
are
fun.
other things that can be a solution for Garrisonville Road.
It's a solution to a problem, but we need solutions for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Right. Okay. Are you done, Ms. Hinkle?
Yes.
That's what we got?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. They're pretty, although angry, those maps. Thank you. Move on to item,
It looks like my heart.
pretty but angry.
So what I'm going to do is not go through this whole presentation because it's very technical. John, if you could just go down the slide with a map.
I like maps.
There you go. Is it possible to, it looks like that's falling off the bottom of the page, but anyway. So, long story short, there is a thing called the critical freight network in the United States. And these are roadways which the levels of government identify as critical to move all the freight in the country. Obviously, we move a lot on rail, but the parts that don't go on rail go on the roads. This is what currently exists as the critical freight network in Virginia. It includes roadways that are identified by the federal government as critical freight networks, and it identifies additional ones that are decided by the state of Virginia as the critical freight network. We now have been allocated additional miles by the federal government that we can declare as critical freight network. And what?
Sorry, Ian, who's in this case?
Stafford.
No.
FAMPO or?
The state of Virginia has been allocated additional roadway miles that can be declared freight network. So OIP, the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment, the people who preside over smart scale, they are working on a plan to identify more roadways which they are going to recommend to be included in the critical freight network. It doesn't give us extra money. So everybody thinks it's about money. The state of Virginia has decided to not allocate additional funds to the critical freight network. Some states do, Virginia does not. So we don't get any more money. Just remember that. And they have decided that they would like to recommend 3 roadways. The way they've decided to do that is the federal government tends to not make a whole roadway critical freight network when it makes decisions. It picks little segments. And then it leaves the states, the individual states, to fill in the gaps and decide where else. So what the federal government has done is, this is Route 301, which crosses into Maryland. The federal government has declared this section of 301 as a critical freight network, leading to the new bridge that we've just built, the 4-lane bridge. And they stopped. So Virginia is proposing to make the rest of 301 declared part of the critical freight network, because it just continues the designation by the federal DOT. So that is the one in our region, right? There are 2 others which are down south here, which don't really affect us. However, what you will notice if you look at this map is that US 17 is not currently one of the critical freight network roads that have been designated in Virginia. Why they didn't pick it, I don't know, I can't tell you, but that's what the state is. All I'm doing today is informing you that there is a process to designate 3 more roads in Virginia as part of the critical freight network, and that Route 301 has been one of those that are proposed.
Hello.
Not by us, proposed by the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment. We weren't consulted last time they did this. This time, after I intervened a little bit, they invited us to the meeting and they're including us in the conversation. We are also, because of the North Stafford TMA, impacted by the Washington, D.C. urbanized area. Therefore, they felt it should be included in this conversation. So I'm just letting you know what's happening. We don't have to do anything about it, but they are making this definition to include possibly 301. The only thing it does do that I'm aware of is that it, within the Smart Scale program, it allows funds more, there's more opportunity for alternatives within the program. Not more money, but they can move money around more easily to accommodate projects. Don't get any more money though. Just letting you know, that's all I need to do.
Will that give us an opportunity to advocate for adding 17, or has that decision been made already?
You can, but we don't have grounds to. You've got to. OIP, basically, what they're doing is they're saying the federal government has designated these 3 little sections. We just think we should finish these roads because it makes no sense to designate one little piece of a road as a critical freight network and then leave the rest of that road. So they're essentially, all they're doing is saying, let's just finish each of those 3 roads.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Chairman, if that's what they said, be able to talk to the state to say that the federal government think this is important, you all need to pay for it.
Hey?
Yeah, put in some funding because you're talking about opportunity, not money. You just said there's no money.
Well, if you wanted to lobby the General Assembly to allocate funding to the critical freight network, you could do that,
I'm
yes.
talking about 301 because that's been my idea in terms of.
That's King George.
That's,
right?
sorry?
Yeah.
That's King George.
No, but 301 comes all the way, it helps, that's the west that I was talking about.
And it goes through Caroline County and King George County, and it joins I-95 eventually.
That's what I was
So,
considering all along.
Just for some context on the
Please.
composition of these routes, it's virtually a complete match of our interstates.
Yes, yes.
So, when we start talking about coming off the interstate, would most likely be very limited opportunities to do so. So just so the context, there's not a whole bunch of primaries statewide that are already in this system. We're
Correct.
Kind of, this would be stepping in.
Okay, understood, yeah. Well, it is, sounds like it already is stepping into new territory, adding 301 and, yeah, okay.
But the answer to your question remains the same. Yes, you may lobby the General Assembly to apply additional funding to the critical faith network. We don't do it at the moment in Virginia anywhere. It's not a policy of Virginia to do that. Other states do, we don't. Some do, some don't. No action required. I'm just informing you so that you know.
All right, item 9D, the policy committee preliminary survey results.
Well, I'll talk to it. It's fine. Thank you to all of you who did fill in the survey. We really appreciate it.
I did.
The point of the survey really is to serve you better, right? We want to not tell you what we think. We want to tell us what you think is important. And we have 11 voting members and we've got 8 alternatives. So we got 8 responses. So thank you to those who did it. Next slide. Rank your transportation concerns. We gave you the options and you see that traffic congestion came out as the thing that people are most concerned about, and funding, right? Because I guess those two things go hand in hand. And then the population growth is concerning folks and accessibility to transit. You can see the results there. That just gives us a temperature on what people think is really important. Next slide. These, we let you write whatever you wanted. So there was no ranked choice or anything. We just said, tell us what you think. And there, folks, Mine Road connecting to Plantation Drive, the Regional Transportation Authority, connectivity within counties, river crossing between Stafford and Spotsylvania, Route 3 improvements west of I-95, connectivity of the road system. So there are multiple ways to get to a destination. The RTA, river crossing from Celebrate, Virginia, north to Central Park, new river crossing, strengthening the roadway connectivity between and within counties, Regional Transportation Authority, the Falmouth Bridge, connectivity with complete streets, widen Button Road, making FXB go into a rail transit system, increase public transportation in Stafford, commuter connections, increase transit. So those are the, like,
How many times did you?
free when people could write what.
That last,
Yeah, was there a way to do multiple?
No.
That's ruined me.
That's right.
all true.
Next slide.
Drew Mullins and Lou
Off
Trelawney.
the Falmouth Bridge though,
The
now,
Falmouth
right?
Bridge got full.
So,
funding
so that
from
can come
CTV.
off.
Nice, nice, nice.
To increase transit.
Well done to the CTB, and we're very happy about that. Falmouth Bridge. Okay, if you look at this one,
Many times.
those are not 2 graphs, Chairperson. Those are the same graph. We've just blown it up on the right-hand side so you can see because the text is a little small. And what we've done is just remove the ones that got no votes, right? So if you look there, what projects should FAMPO prioritize? Identify new roadways or bridges needed in the region. Develop a regional nodal policy to coordinate jurisdictions' comprehensive plans and identify nodes of high density. Work with jurisdictions to identify locations for transit-oriented development. Identify projects or studies to mitigate regional and local congestion. Complete a study of future transit options. Prioritize work on the 2055 long-range plan. We've started work on that. Expedite the complete streets plan. We are working on that. Develop a new post-river crossing study. Develop a FAMPO vision document, Vision 2075. Conduct a region-wide survey of the public's transportation needs and concerns. So the other that was specified is east connectivity through Dahlgren. So those are the comments we got on when we said, which of these things do you think we should work on? Obviously, the ones that nobody voted for are things you all don't think we should work on as hard. These are the ones you want us to focus on. Next slide. Items the policy committee should discuss more. So what should you guys talk about more? Regional transportation needs, potential transportation projects, transit ridership and needs, potential transportation funding opportunities, and bike and pedestrian needs and projects. It seems like the feeling is we don't need to get more comments from the public because we're getting sufficient. We don't need more presentations from the public. We're getting sufficient. We don't need to revisit the principles of planning. We're all good on that. Smart scale projects and deadlines, we don't need more than what we're getting adequate. So that's that item. Next question. How can FAMPO promote regionalism within the committee? Staff should analyze challenges of other cities and regions and highlight how regionalism was effective. Focus on connections between jurisdictions. Start with branding and consider the why behind promoting regionalism. What's in it for the specific county? Begin by establishing shared messaging. Focus on shared values. Develop a list of projects all jurisdictions can get behind. So there's a need there for unity. We want to get all behind the same thing. And if we identify regional transportation needs, we can then work on funding projects and coordinate projects, and RTA would help with the funding piece. Next slide. Interventions that we should add in the future. Keep making improvements to I-95. Bus rapid transit along major corridors. Enhance transit connectivity along major corridors. Focus and support on regional commuter rail in and through the region. Harrison Road, and just 2 down is the Harrison Road interchange. So I guess those 2 things fit together. Increase public transit, strategic roadway expansions paired with pedestrian and bike safety. More focus on corridor improvements to the region, connect bike and pedestrian trails. Regional trail interconnection, micro transit and last mile solutions to connect to BRE, park and rides, commercial centers, and project focus on congestion relief. Next slide. Is that the last one?
Yes.
Great. So we just thank the policy committee for that. And obviously we listen to what you say. And when we prepare the new UPWP, the Unified Planning Work Program, we'll bear in mind what folks have said and try to craft a work program that does reflect the things that you consider important. If anybody has things to add, feel free to email us.
I mean, I can email. I just think with the slide where you had the 2 next to each other that
Yes.
was bigger than the other, they analyzed the potential role of microtransit for the region, got nothing but identify projects or studies to mitigate regional and local congestion and complete a study of future transit options. You know, I think like some of the ones that didn't get any, it was because you could only vote for so many, and that they were kind of subcategories of some of the ones that we did vote for. So
Okay.
I wanted to put that out there because I think that was you could.
There are more than one option. More than one option said similar things, so we shouldn't discount the ones that didn't get a vote.
Yeah, I think like, the complete an ADA and underserved communities needs list perhaps not, but it does go under some of the other.
Okay.
Conduct a region-wide survey of the public's transportation needs and concerns. Like.
Any other comments, questions?
I continue to talk to people, and this is for PRTC, that are taking the buses north that they catch at 610 in Stafford. And, one guy today said, yeah, my wife used to take the VRE and it took, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And man, this bus stop, she gets on the first one at 4:45 and she's up there in no time at the VA and they love it.
Good.
We can't do more, as you know.
Right.
Ian, would it be, I don't know if there's some sort of date that you want to wrap up this process by with the feedback, but I'm wondering if there'll be an opportunity to share this survey with the incoming members in
Sure.
January so the feedback can get wrapped in as we move forward into the new year.
If any members who haven't taken the survey wish to take it this week, please do it this week. Then we'll add it to those, and then in January we'll show it to the new members.
The new member?
I've not.
I don't
Oh,
think we
no,
do.
no, you don't?
I don't look at who's taking the survey, not taking the survey. I just take the results.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you. Item 9E, the cost estimate for microsimulation of proposed mall court extension impact.
For the background to this, for those who might not have been at the last meeting, we were asked to look at, John, next slide, the possibility of connecting the roadway called Mall Court in the city with the Spotsylvania Central Park area and the mall in Spotsylvania. It's long been a proposed project to extend that road through into the mall roadway system, but it was never been done. And the proposal was that we investigate doing that. VDOT pointed out to us that to work on this without having viable alternatives would be a waste of money. So the first step is to find out whether there's an alternative combination of lanes, turning lanes, and so on that would actually work and wouldn't mess up the intersections either side of this on Route 3, one of them being the off-ramps on I-95, etc., right? Because it's no good building a new road and then you mess up everything else around you.
Homes, the apartments back there. I mean,
They wouldn't really be impacted, I don't think.
Well, they would be provided access to get,
Right.
yeah,
Negatively impacted is what I'm saying.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ownership of that mall, that area. Who owns it? That was.
The mall?
Not the mall, the apartment complex itself, and
Oh.
that area, and the land around it.
There's apartments around it?
I don't know who owns the land around the mall, but the Burger King is closed. Yes, it's vacant.
So what I'm saying is making arrangements
Down.
and first with that,
No, that's the hotel. Yeah, no, you can't see the apartments are further.
to have another
Yeah.
viable solution.
Yeah, but I think
There's some?
what you're saying is that
Well,
there's no benefit, VDOT's saying, no benefit in looking at that unless
Without-
looking at other options first. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
I'm looking at the one that.
I'm not sure what that is. Yes.
so we had a discussion about the possibility of building this roadway extension.
Come back.
There have been 2 pipeline studies conducted on this corridor. And the 2 pipeline studies, at the time it was felt by the Spotsylvania reps and the city reps, they didn't come up with a solution that was workable for this intersection that people believed could really do the job. And so VDOT said to us that it would be no point trying to get the state to invest more money here if we can't find a workable solution that won't mess up all the other intersections around it and will provide some actual benefit. What does it do? Does it provide connectivity? Does it provide benefit? And does it not mess up all the intersections? So last meeting, you asked me to go and get a cost estimate to do what we call essentially micro simulation study, where you look at the micro movements of, the traffic lights, the intersections, and identify whether or not there is what we call an at-grade solution on the ground that could actually work. One of the pipeline studies proposed a big concrete flyover, and it was really expensive, and people said, no, we're not going to work on that. So the attempt here is to find a combination of lanes up and down and left and right that would not mess up all the other intersections, would provide some relief, some access, some whatever else, must provide something, must not mess up the other intersections. And that could be done on the ground at grade, not underneath or a concrete flyover, which is all really expensive. So that's the point of this small study, is to just establish whether there's a combination of lanes and directions and intersection that would work, that would not mess it all up. So it's one of the lower cost studies. It's not a very big expensive study, because we're only trying to find out one thing. Is it worth spending money taking this any further, or is there really nothing that's going to work? If there's nothing that's going to work, we've only spent a small amount of money, and then we can stop. If we find combinations that work, are worth taking further, we can then spend further money, or we can work with VDOT's pipeline program to see what the options are to take it further. But there really is no point trying to do this if it's not going to, well, if it is going to mess up the other intersections. And
So what do you mean?
The amount of money, it was pretty low, if I recall.
we've got multiple quotations, and it ranges between like 28 and 30,000. It's around the 30,000, 32,000, something like that. It's not a big ask, but it would have to come out of our CMAC or STGB or congestion relief money, because we don't have, FAMPO doesn't have access to funds, right? That's all that we have. So the question is, do we take it further or do we not? And you can't decide on the exact dollar amounts tonight. This is giving you a ballpark, because what we have to do is first allocate the money, which you would all only do in March next year when you allocate CMAC and STGB. So we're going to allocate that 7 point whatever million, depending on how much VDOT tells us we have, and the 30,000 or whatever number it is would come out of that 7.6 million that you have.
Let me, I think for the counters.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Can I was the one who asked Ian and his staff to look into this possibility, and let me just say a little bit why I thought this was something that I wanted to bring to you guys, right? Is that I think we've talked a lot about the problems on Route 3 West, right? They seem pretty intractable. This struck me as a potential low-hanging fruit, right? If it is something that brings some benefit, it'll be something that would bring some benefit with a relatively low price tag compared to the other things that they're talking about there. I mean, once you get into concrete flyovers and crazy stuff like that, right? And this is, I think, I asked him to bring this to you guys because it's sort of, we could spend a little bit of money and see, is this in fact a low-hanging fruit that we could grab to make some progress? I do not think that this is a panacea for Route 3 West at all, right? But I'm looking for a win on Route 3 West, right? And if this is a win, even a small one, right, I think it might be worth pursuing, because I think most of the other things we are going to need to do on Route 3 West to fix that problem, super high price tag, which means that it's going to take a lot, we're going to dig a lot deeper. It's going to be a lot longer process. So I asked Ian to look into this as a potential low-hanging fruit. We don't know if it's a low-hanging fruit or not, or if it's like a rotten fruit, right? And that's what this $30,000 is supposed to tell us, right? Is this a low-hanging fruit we can grab, get a little win on Route 3 West, right? Fix a little piece of our problem, or is it, a rotten fruit that's not going to go anywhere and we have to go back? So that's why I think it's worth.
So how much did we spend on Harrison Road?
Okay, I'm sorry, Supervisor.
Just a question, Mr. Chair. So that would this be something that we could, since we might have some change in personnel, deliberately discuss in depth next meeting?
There's no particular ticking clock on this, right, Ian?
So the CMAC STGB policy says that the TAC can make proposals, or you can make proposals for additional items you want us to take into consideration when we allocate the money in March. And it says that you should decide to do that in November. If I'm correct, John.
Yeah, you can identify a issue or topic needing should additional funds come along. It would basically reset aside any additional funds to be spent. However, when you go to allocate, you can actually elevate any potential project study in the markets from direct funds for that.
Yes, the policy allows the policy committee to make changes to the recommended allocations that the TAC will bring before you in March, April. So you can, even at that stage, decide to add this or not, right? But it is easier for us to know before we start making the allocations with the TAC whether we should allocate an extra 30,000 or not, kind of thing. It's better to know that, because otherwise, when you make that change only in like April, May, you then have to go back and forth, reworking it. But it's not a big amount of money, so it's probably very easy to put in there. So you don't have to decide anything immediately tonight. but we're looking for guidance as to whether you think we should or not.
Do,
You can come back to us and tell us in February if you want to.
do you have other type of projects? I mean, if I known, I would have thought of something too. I'm not trying to be petty or anything.
Well, any member of the committee can.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't
Time,
think
right?
about
This
it,
is,
so, yeah.
this was something, you know, again, I'm trying to get a win on Route 2.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, Supervisor Hayes has his own, and Supervisor Rocky.
So I do want to speak to this project because Chris isn't here tonight, and this is one of the ones that sort of drawn forward. And I do think there is a lot of value in the project. It would, I believe, help the stuff coming out of Central Park, the mall, all of that. I think it's going to be greatly positively impacted. I am concerned about taking the money out for the study, right? But if it is indeed $30,000, you know, maybe, and I agree with you, I want to win too. I mean, I just want, we need to have something that we can, that's doable. I mean, the bridge is way far off.
Yeah.
You know, some of these other projects, and I think this would be, many moons ago, you know, there was a way that you could get there.
Mhm.
It wasn't a legal way, but everybody used it,
Tell us
right?
right.
You know?
Greg just has to block his ears at this point in the conversation.
Left at the behind the hotel.
And then they blocked it off, so that took away your secondary thing. So I think, you know, just muscle memory for those of us who've been here forever and a day will be like, oh, good, that road back. So I'm in support of doing this. I know you have.
Supervisor Bomke next, and then Supervisor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, kind of, I just hate to take money out of CMAC, but if you guys feel that it would be a win for Route 3, as we all know, crossing from Bragg Road over to the other side, only 3 cars get through that light. And I'm not out in Central or at the mall that often, so I don't know. But when I am, I don't see a big long trail of cars pulling in there that it seems to move pretty quickly. But as we all know, when there are options are better. So I wouldn't be that opposed. I wouldn't want it to be over $32,000.
All right, Supervisor Mullen.
Yeah, this is a project that I've been trying to solve since I got elected, actually.
This connector?
This connector.
All right.
Yeah, and I brought it to Chris's attention and he carried the bill for us, right? But been working also with some other folks, landowners and whatnot, about trying to figure out a solution for new R options. I think it's, to your point, it is a low hanging fruit. I just don't feel like right now is the time to authorize the 30,000. I think we should wait until February or something, like we have new members on board and we can get everybody up to speed.
That's perfectly fine.
That's just my opinion. It's one vote.
Councilor Hall.
I just have a question about that. So
Yeah.
what I was hearing, maybe I misunderstood, because it's also getting late, but so that if we said, well, yes, we are interested in this study, that's like putting it kind of on the agenda, and then in March, we can decide whether or not to put money behind it?
I thought you said,
between now and
I thought you said we couldn't do it unless we decided.
Well,
to
what I will ask,
Like to put it on the agenda, and then somewhere, you know, yeah,
let me answer the question for you.
please do.
I will ask John when we do the allocations in March to make an option A and an option B, and the one will have the 30,000 in and the other one won't. And then you can just vote for which of the options you want to approve. That's simple. It's easy to do.
Mr. Chair, then I would like to kind of like unwind what I said. I thought we had to make a decision allocating the funds now.
It sounded like there was like a wrinkle about potential extra funds or something,
Yeah.
but we don't necessarily have to do that.
We just look for general guidance from you so that when we bring you options, it's
Sure.
ones that you're interested in,
Mhm.
and then you can make a decision
Okay.
finally then. We don't allocate the funds formally until March.
Then I would agree with others that it's a good thing to do. I just thought we were making.
Yeah.
So we will present to you both options in March,
Okay.
right?
But the sense is that there's general support and some concern about SDBG funds, but general support for this idea, right? Is that enough kind of a vibe for your staff to work off of?
Yep, we'll take it to the TAC in January and explain that.
Right, we're working on vibes here now, until March. Thanks, Mr. Ellis. All right, let's move on to item 10, correspondence.
This safety target letter we do every year, and generally I have to write it. We run it by the TAC. There are essentially two options that we have really. We either accept VDOT's statewide targets for safety in our region, or we concoct our own targets that VDOT then has to try and meet. And 99% of the MPOs in Virginia go with the statewide targets. It's just easier. We've done that every year. So unless somebody feels like a lot of work to create our own targets, we as staff just recommend we do what we did the last few years, which is to accept the statewide targets for our region. And this is safety targets, and we are actually one of the more safer areas in Virginia as far as traffic accidents, deaths, and all that goes. So we're not an outlier. We're not one of those in naughty corner. We're actually doing pretty well. So we're, as staff, and the TAC seems happy for us to accept the statewide targets. I just let you know, because I have to sign this letter and send it over to the commissioner, the highway safety. The highway. What is the official title of the commissioner?
State Highway
Safety Engineer.
Stephen Reed.
Oh, it's Stephen Reed, not the commissioner. A big one.
Does anyone have any thoughts or objections to that? Seems fine to me.
Great.
Yeah.
Want to talk to this?
Sure. The next item in your correspondence is a press release for the Go My Way VA mobile app. This was developed by the Regional Multimodal Mobility Program, RM3P. That is a collaborative that includes VDOT, the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, DRPT, and FAMPO. And the app provides users with estimated commuting costs and toll rates, intermodal trip planning, traffic cameras, and incentives for making better travel choices, whether by transit, biking, walking, or adjusting their departure time during their typical travel when road incidents occur. It helps users avoid travel delays through real-time traffic updates, predictive travel times, and personalized route and mode alternatives. When there are traffic delays, the system proactively suggests options like switching to non-driving alternatives for traveling off-peak. So if you go to the website, it has on there, you can download the app. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. This one you might be interested in. VDOT has sent us a letter inviting us to the public hearing about a roadway improvement on Route 3 right at the Spotsylvania boundary with Orange County. The hearing is tomorrow night from 5 to 7 p.m. at Locust Grove Elementary School. We encourage those who are interested to go. I believe that Spotsy is sending one of their staff members to attend the meeting. We're just letting you know because whatever happens just over the fence affects Route 3 terribly.
Yeah, that big project.
This is a roadway improvement. This is not the housing.
Yeah, that's all tied up in the courts.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Center and other things. Yeah.
Do you know specifically what they're proposing there?
Yes, it's a signalized green tea, a seagull. Where
Not the kind you have after dinner.
Well, you're a fan of it. So right now, you have a traffic signal, Route 3 goes straight into Orange County toward Culpeper, and 20 dead ends there. And there's some little shopping centers kind of off to your right that aren't very well used. So what a green T will do is let the through traffic go straight to Culpeper instead of having to it'll be a smoother, almost a through uninterrupted movement. And then the folks, right now it's a four-legged intersection that lets the shopping centers to the north kind of have take time at the light. So if you want to go to that, from that shopping center to go east, you'll have to go right and make a U-turn. So it eliminates, that's the little shopping center off to the right where there's a little 7-Eleven.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know, but those U-turns, out there are.
Well, they'll construct a proper, turnaround. So what it does is with a four-legged intersection, that left turn from the 7-Eleven and like there's a Wachovia Bank or Wells
Yeah,
Fargo or
right.
something. Very low, volume, making that left to go east. So it's gonna force them to make a right and make a U-turn. So it saves that green time, for the heavy, left turns. So go to the public hearing or, anyway, it'll make it
Find
better.
out about
It'll
it.
make it a lot better.
Yeah.
All right.
For pretty low cost.
Excellent, thank you. All right, now we're on to item 11, staff and agency.
The Fall Hill Avenue, the pipeline study, they're having a public meeting on Thursday, the 20th, just letting you know. The public involvement activity of the whole year, Eugene is going to give you a short presentation. We tell you once a year, this is what we've done in public engagement.
Involvement report. All right, so like Ian said, this is sort of just a review of what we've been up to for the last year, the progress we've been making, any patterns we've noticed. So starting with the mailing list, we are currently at 1,991 mailing list subscribers. Over the last year, we have added 130 subscribers to our mailing list. Most of these subscribers were added either in months for the river crossing update for reported on the news, or when FAMPO hosts information tables at already established events. In January 2025, FAMPO advertised to GW mailing list, and over the last year, that mailing list has grown to include 131 subscribers.
I just want to say I appreciated the graphic on the left.
Yeah.
That was pretty cute.
This is pretty cool.
So over the last year, we have attended 15 events in total. About 11 of these events are information tables that we held at already established events that were hosted by other organizations. So that's going to be our Community Connections Expo, our Great Train Race, our Parks Festival, our Housing Summit. About 4 of these events were pop-up information tables that we did at several libraries in the FAMPO area. Next slide. We also conduct outreach by using our social media. Our most popular social media that we have the most reactions and reach with is our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Reddit account. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation with the post, however. So for Facebook, our to localities, and they tend to include public comment opportunities, photos as well. Our Instagram posts tend to be successful when they're more general to the region and when they're educational. These are also pretty successful when it comes to our in-person photos and videos. Next slide. And our Reddit posts are more successful when they're specific to localities, have public comment opportunities, and maps. Next slide. We also are able to conduct outreach through press mentions, either be intentional or unintentional. When it's intentional, we are sending out press releases to several different organizations. When it's unintentional, usually press organization will pick up something that we're doing in terms of public comment opportunities or at a policy committee meeting, and they'll write about it. Over the last year, we have had about 30 press mentions. We also tend to post about these press mentions generally every time that we get them on our social media accounts. We've also recently revamped our news webpage on our website as well. Easier to find when we work on it. But all of this public outreach tends to culminate in the public comments that we receive. This last year, we have received 47 in total, 13 in person at our meetings, 22 by email, 21 by hard copy. At the time, this was almost about double the amount that we had reached last year, but this presentation was made a week ago, and just based on today, I think that we have finally reached over double the amount. Next slide.
I thought we had 47 tonight.
Honorable mentions of stuff that we're getting up to that we haven't mentioned yet. In 2025, we updated our FAMPO website. We closed the river crossing survey. Acres. We added the SS4A public involvement and stakeholder engagement plan to our final comprehensive safety action plan. We've also implemented our rural work program engagement plan, and we conducted the member survey, which you guys. Next slide. And in 2026 and the very tail end of 2025, we look forward to the Complete Streets public workshops and survey, our TV survey and outreach, and a sort of new event that we're planning called Coffee with a Planner. Next slide. I'm sure you guys are thinking, wow, this is so wonderful. How can we help to make FAMPO that? One of the things you can do is promote our posts on social media, especially when it comes to events that we're going to be hosting. So, for example, the Complete Streets workshop, we posted about it last week or so. We're going to be posting about them as we get closer to the dates. And it would be great if you guys could promote on your own social media. You could also let us know about upcoming events that you're either going to be attending, either as an organization or yourself, especially if you're attending as an organization and you think that FAMPO would be a good fit as an information table, please let us know. And also, when you see us out and about, feel free to come up and say hi and take pictures. When we take pictures with members of our committees, we usually post them on social media. We tag the organization we belong to, so it kind of provides mutual outreach opportunity where we can do more outreach for your organization and also talk about our policy committee and the work that we all do together to promote the spirit of regionalism. Oh, it all comes back to regionalism. All right. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I'm happy to take them now. If not, you have my contact information. And thank you for it right here.
A lot of good work. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lang. Yeah, a lot of good work out on there. Street.
We, Mr. Chair, have just a request from Carrie for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We have some vacancies.
Good evening. I just wanted to let everybody know that the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee is two at-large citizen representative folks that are up for in January that need to be appointed by all of you. So if you know anybody who might be interested in that, we need folks who have some interest and experience in walking, biking, that sort of thing. So I would like to have them just email us at fampo@pwregion.org, and I will take care of those things and be back with you guys in January and February with the appointments.
All right, from any specific place,
They're at
anywhere,
large,
they're at
okay.
large, so anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I might be
Can you
on
send
that.
us? You go, Meg.
There you go.
You go, Meg.
There you go.
Well, in this case, we might not need to.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Take
Okay
back
for
the
you.
cake.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, we.
I'm just teasing. I'd have to get support from my board. I don't know.
Might be like.
Are they appointed? If they're at large, they're appointed by us, though, right?
Yeah.
By this
Oh.
body.
So all you have to get is one member to nominate you who sits on this.
I nominate Supervisor.
Second.
Right away.
Second.
So if you know anybody interested, just have them email us at FAMPO@pwregion.org, and I will come back to you with those.
Cool.
Give us a reminder email. Specific.
I'll ask them to send you. And then lastly, leader.
I do.
All,
Still call this last name.
jobs we have coming up in the region. There's one in each jurisdiction of FAMPO over the next 3 or so weeks. Starting with first one in Stafford County Business Day. They're all going to be on Wednesday evenings from 4 to 7 p.m. and all in different library branches throughout the region. And while it's 3 hours long, it's kind of an open house drop-in style. And there'll be engaging activities for the public to participate in, opportunities to talk to FAMPO staff, and opportunities to fill out a survey that we have accompanying this public outreach initiative as well. Which is also attached. Survey questions are also attached to the agenda. And if there are no concerns from any of you all.
The reason we're telling you this is because I made a promise. Made a promise to you all that I wouldn't send out any surveys that you haven't seen first. So we've attached the survey to your agenda tonight. If you have any questions or comments or issues with the survey, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to send the survey out.
No complete.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Can I ask if, did you put it in order for individuals to, there, did you put something out on social media, Instagram, or do you, because we have a, mention it, if you send me a blur to, that, okay.
Yeah, we've been posting it or.
Yeah, if you send me something, I'll make a mention of it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that immensely.
And yeah, I hope you all can attend. It interests you and invite anyone else who might be interested.
But Bob is going to bring a whole bus full of people because she wants that
yeah,
nomination.
riders, the bike riders and her tennis people, bike riders and pickleball people. Yeah.
Toot, toot, here's the Bombkey bus.
Pickleballers are like serious.
All right.
They're gonna do a tour.
Are we?
So item 12, board member and chair comments.
No. Didn't talk.
Supervisor Mo.
So he pointed at me.
I did not. Riverbend High School is 10-0, and they have their first playoff game against someone they're gonna beat on Friday.
Oh, they're gonna beat the other one.
What sport is this?
Who is football? Who the plays?
Who the, you know,
North of you guys. Okay, good. It's like, we can all wrestle, right? We can take it out.
All right, Councilor Holmes.
I would just like to thank the members that will be with us in some other fashion.
Yes.
But for their service, sincerely.
You stole my chair comments, but and yes. For Supervisor Bumpy and Councilor Gerlach, right? But I don't know if all of you would, maybe you guys are rotating to other committees too. So if you aren't going to be with us next year. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
And please grab a quick piece of cake after the meeting.
With that, we will adjourn until next week.
Monday.
Comments.
Yeah.
Did you just?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know. Was there others?
Yeah.
He already said it.
I had something.
Okay, please, yeah.
No, real quick. So at VACO, we had something prepared for Supervisor Baumke, but she didn't show. So I was saddened. I know, but I was so saddened. And so I was like, we'll have to figure something else out. No, but yeah, thank you for adding work.
It was read at the board.
Yeah.
Supervisor.
And as my trustee back here told me, which high school is also 10-0, so we may meet you here soon.
Is that what it is?
It's on.
In enough for you. Which high school?
Oh,
Your district.
yeah.
We have Supervisor Bumpy wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want to say I've appreciated the last couple of years, the collegiality of this group, and it really makes a big difference on a board, and we kind of have the same thing on VRE. Some of us in this room are on VRE. And it just really makes a difference, when you can sit in a room and you don't have to agree on everything. And we many times know going into votes that, the votes aren't going to be the same, but we can at least understand and respect everybody's decision. And you guys have a lot of work, ahead of you, and I just want to wish you the best. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
No, thank you for all your hard work.
Big problem.
So if we don't have any other comments, remember,
Back.
we're back here
He's bringing a whole bus of people to that public meeting.
and we will be here next week at 5:30.
5:30.
Right. Another email.
So you should be.
And with all that, we are adjourned for cake.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Reminder about that Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I